It's the Rob Carson Show. Are you ready to be pod-smacked? Now, here's Rob Carson.
Here is episode number 158 of the podcast, recording it on the 30th of August, 2017. All the news coverage is about Hurricane Harvey, what's happening in Houston and surrounding area. Port Arthur now in a lot of trouble. Unbelievable sights. We're going to get into the good, the bad, the ugly with regard to Hurricane Harvey, what's going on. Some good news going on down there. Some people politicizing it. Not cool. Not cool at all. And then, of course, we got a lot of other stuff to get to as well. We'll start in just 1 second. Want to thank our sponsors, particularly Dr. Alex Nelson of fountainoflifechiro.com, 8335 North Congress Avenue in Kansas City. I'll bet there are a lot of firefighters and first responders could use some chiropractic care in Houston. I mean, you got people staying up 18 hours, rescuing people, and a chiropractic adjustment can do amazing things for a whole family of aches and pains. Also just maintenance of your body. I'll tell you what, decompression for herniated low back discs, amazing. They do an inversion therapy. They do massage therapy. They do electrical stimulation. $30 for veterans for an adjustment. And veterans' families as well. Give them a buzz, 816-741-4711, or just stop by, 8335 North Congress Avenue, or check out fountainoflifechiro.com. Fountainoflifechiro.com. Fall's coming up. Going to be doing a lot of leaf cleaning and yard maintenance. Have you considered getting a new American-made mower? And not one of those ones they chain up outside the big box store. I'm talking about a Dixie chopper made in Indiana or a Hustler made in Kansas. They're available at grassmonsterskc.com. They're in Raytown, 5520 Raytown Road. You can get the Fast Track. This is from Hustler, a 4-year, 400-hour warranty, up to a 54-inch rear discharge, a 60-inch side discharge. 23 or 24 horsepower engine, and built to last a lifetime. By the way, lifetime warranty on the frame. They're beautifully, and they're American-made. GrassMonstersKC.com. All right, let's talk a little bit about the storm, Hurricane Harvey, and what's going on in Texas. The president was in Houston yesterday, made some comments, took some criticism from several people for not being empathetic enough. I've never seen a president picked on so much. Here he is in Texas talking to the crowd.
I just want to thank your governor, Senator Cruz, Senator Cornyn, everybody, Dan. We want to thank the whole group. This has been a total cooperative effort. Again, we will see you soon. I will tell you, this is historic. It's epic what happened. But you know what? It happened in Texas, and Texas can handle anything. Thank you all, folks. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I'm impressed with just the amount of philanthropy that's going on. The amount people came up from Louisiana, brought their boats, call themselves the Cajun Coast Guard. They've been rescuing people. People on social media. I heard about a rescue. A guy saw a tweet from somebody who was standing in a foot of water in her house with 3 large dogs. Guy in Canada got her help. It is amazing. And I got to tell you, I think the country needs this coming together. We certainly don't need a disaster. I get it. But I think we need this coming together. Radio stations around the country raising hundreds and thousands of dollars, even some celebrities pitching in. In Houston, I read a story. There was a bakery, and they were basically stuck there. They weren't able to get out, so they just went ahead and cleaned their inventory out and made bread for hundreds and hundreds of volunteers. Another story I thought that was really cool. Guy owns a mattress store down there, and he opened up the mattress and furniture store for people to come in and stay. And these are brand new mattresses, brand new furniture. He says, get in here. We want to help you. Bass Pro, one of my favorite stores. They're donating a bunch of Bass Pro boats, supplies. All right. So they're sending in Bass Tracker boats, brand new boats to rescue people. I just think this is remarkable. And I don't mean to come down on New Orleans with Katrina, but this is the difference between a people who are proactive, who don't depend on the government. Katrina, we saw the absolute opposite with a bad governor and a bad mayor. A mayor who let hundreds of school buses get destroyed by the floods when he could have evacuated people with them because he wanted better buses. He wanted coaches to get people out. Mary Landrieu, she demanded $240 billion immediately after the storm. You know, this is not how Texans, they don't wait. they don't wait for the government to respond. But I've been impressed with what the government appears to have done. It looks like people were actually prepared. I would say, and I don't know what you think about, one of the best, I think, disaster preparedness situations I've ever seen. And a coming together, you know, and a coming together. Oh, Joel Osteen, the televangelist, the guy who has a mega church, 17,000 people can fit in there. Well, he took a lot of heat yesterday because people said his church wasn't open to the victims of the storm. He was all over doing damage control this morning.
The church has always been open. Our doors. We received shelter victims just the first day or two, but there was a time, Chris, that the place was flooded. That's not a true statement. People that say that we have floodgates right behind me over to the right, and it was within a foot of that. So there was a safety issue the first day or two. I mean, you're seeing, you know, as well as I do, this was a huge storm. So, but the idea that we wouldn't receive people. I mean, we've been here in this community for 60 years. In Allison, Tropical Storm Allison, we housed 3,000 people. So we've always been open. There's a big shelter 4 miles away, the city shelter that has all the dormitories. Once they filled up, people started coming here. But how this notion got started that we're not a shelter and we're not taking people in is a false narrative.
Okay. All right. They were surrounded by water. So there was an instance of being able to get in, I guess. So I'll take the pastor's word for it here. But a lot of people are coming through. And a lot of shelters, by the way, are overrun. There's a shelter downtown Houston, a capacity of 5,000, got 9,000 in it right now. So just really, really cool outpouring of generosity from the American people. That'll be overwhelming. And I did mention something on Facebook. I'm not a big Red Cross supporter. I saw what they did with Superstorm Sandy. They were barely noticeable, and where they were just giving out coffee. They also took $1 billion from the American people after 9/11. The American people thinking the money was going to go to the victims went to the Red Cross. So I'll just unabashedly say I'm not a fan of the Red Cross. I'm a fan of the Salvation Army. That's a group that I help out. ABC reporter has been roundly lambasted online after reporting some events he witnessed. Tony Lamas was tweeting live from Houston describing he saw in the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey. Said, we're witnessing looting right now at a large supermarket in the northeast part of Houston, and police have just discovered a body nearby. So some people were mad because he mentioned the looting first and not the body. And then some people apparently feel that looting is okay. Here's a tweet that he responded to him. You're not very good at backpedaling, you snitch. People are starving in a disaster. You're going to run to the cops. Go get the pineapple. I don't know what that means. Another one. Hungry folks looting food takes precedence over discovering a body. And your privilege is showing. Where is your empathy? Did you stop anyone to ask why? If they're taking stuff from Best Buy? Well, I don't know. When you wear a mask and you're looting, I don't care where it is. It's stealing, and that's what he saw. And I'm not a big fan of stealing, to be quite honest. And I think a lot of people were stuck, yes, in their homes, and there were a lot of people who just stayed behind to just steal. So, and by the way, Texas is increasing the penalty for looting from 5 years to life in prison. Speaking of stealing, I got ripped on social media for saying, and listen, I'm a capitalist, but I mentioned the other day that there was a place selling bottled water for $90 a case. Well, in a Best Buy franchise in Houston suburb of Cypress, they had brought in water. They were selling it for $42. $42 for a case of water. Normally, the Dasani pack of 500 milliliter water, about $15.50. Another sign showed a case of Smart Water, $29, with a note saying there was a limited supply. According to this report, Best Buy usually doesn't sell water. You know? I remember the flood of 93 in Missouri, and I was there, and I sandbagged a couple cities near Columbia, Missouri, in the middle of the state, in the Missouri River. And there was a lot of price gouging going on, and it was stopped summarily by the government at the time. So some people are trying to politicize this. I don't know. It's ridiculous. They went after the first lady because she wore heels, and then she changed into sneakers. But people were saying that her foot attire was inappropriate for a flood zone. I'd say, if anything, high heels would be the thing to wear in a flood zone. I mean, if you want to get up in the water a little bit, you got 5-inch heels on. That water is 5 inches less deep. Just saying, I'm not a heel wearer. And then, of course, CNN and MSNBC have been working double time to turn the whole thing into a conversation about climate change. Here's the deal. We've not had a major hurricane for 12 years in the country. All right. 12 years in the country. That was when Katrina, it seems like a lot longer, right? 12 years ago, Katrina took place. Superstorm Sandy was not a hurricane, by the way. And yet, when there's one hurricane that makes landfall in 12 years, suddenly the climate is changing.
Are you saying that this isn't just a Houston issue? This is a climate change issue in terms of how we anticipate the magnitude of storms and flooding?
It's exactly the type of thing that the experts on climate have been
What did you just go through?
predicting.
Why there is...
They've been predicting every year that it would be another bad year. They've been predicting every year. So that it happens 12 years into this, then they can claim victory, is ridiculous.
So much water associated with this storm. One of the things we've heard from scientists over the last 10 years is that climate change does impact the intensity of many of the storms.
It hasn't impacted the intensity of any of them. It hasn't. And it just so happens that climatic conditions caused this storm. And severe storms are going to happen. The fact that they haven't happened in 12 years is pretty remarkable, and a rebuke of your climate change and increased intensity of storms debate.
I don't want to get into the politics of climate change.
If you look at climate change and you look at the weather systems that we're getting today,
could climate change be fueling the history-making nature of this storm?
A lot of Democrats will be saying, climate change is actually...
yeah, because climate change is big tax dollars.
This is the kind of flooding you would predict based on the climate change model.
One question we should ask, even if the Republican Party isn't asking that, is what is the role of man-made climate change in disasters like this one? It doesn't necessarily create storms like this, but does it increase the intensity of these storms?
There has to be a discussion of whether these sorts of events are becoming more common because of climate change.
They're not.
Middle class and poor people would be some of the first people hurt by climate
Oh, here we go. Now we're going to the poor people.
change. And there's this idea that these storms, these hurricanes are getting worse and worse, scientists say, and that working class and poor people that voted for Donald Trump.
Okay, now you've really politicized it. Now these working class and poor people who are affected most by the storm, who voted for Trump, are really sorry.
That are excited about his presidency, that thought his presidency was going to improve their lives.
Unbelievable. I mean, I honestly don't even know what to say. I just don't even know what to say. 12 years since Hurricane Katrina, the storms have been much quieter. Tornadic activity in the country, much quieter. There are jet streams. There are things that go on in the world that cause some years to be rainier. Been a rainier year in the United States. Been a rainier year where I live. I mean, major flash flooding. Not climate change, kids. All right. Let's talk about other stuff. Sit down for a second. I'm going to actually say something good about Nancy Pelosi. I know. Nancy Pelosi is actually saying that the Antifa is bad. Now, I know this is fairly obvious, but apparently it's gotten so overwhelming, the visual of, what happened in Berkeley this last weekend with just not a group of right-wing Nazis. It was just Trump supporters in Berkeley. 2,000 Antifa protesters show up, and they're violent, and they brought weapons, and they bought pepper spray and all this stuff. It happened in Charleston, and Nancy is now saying what the president said. Violence comes from the other side, too. Here's what she said. Our democracy has no room for inciting violence or endangering the public, no matter the ideology of those who commit such acts. The violent actions of people calling themselves Antifa in Berkeley this weekend deserve unequivocal condemnation, and the perpetrators, there we go, should be arrested and prosecuted. In California, as across all of our great nation, we have deep reverence for the constitutional right to peaceful dissent and free speech, except for at Berkeley, by the way. Nonviolence is fundamental to that right. Let us use this sad event to reaffirm that we must never fight hate with hate and to remember the values of peace, openness, and justice, blah, 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 blah. By the way, a very large percentage of Democrats, I think I saw over 70% of Democrats, believe that quote-unquote hate speech should be illegal. Now, hate speech is legal, you know. At Berkeley, they just don't want speech that they hate. That's the problem. That's the problem. Some other interesting things. Black Lives Matter, and I'm not going to do all politics here, but I think this needs to be noted. Black Lives Matter co-founder Patrisse Cullors, her name is Cullors, had some really disturbing things to say. And you know, in this time that I think we should be coming together, there are those who are trying to tear us apart. And this is inflammatory rhetoric that is dangerous. I'm not saying it shouldn't be illegal, but, you know, you've got to watch who you're inciting here. And we obviously have a rabid mob that was whipped into a lather with fear-mongering about a Trump presidency. And now that the Trump is the president, you're hearing things like this. I want you to listen to this. And I hope that you can use common sense and go, this is ridiculous on the face of it.
We wouldn't, as a movement, take a seat at the table with Trump because we wouldn't have done that with Hitler.
Okay, so that's the latest tack. We started off with calling people racist. Then we started calling people saying they had white privilege. And then it became white supremacy. And now there are Nazis in the White House. And the president of the United States, Donald Trump, who in no way, shape, or form resembles Adolf Hitler as far as policy is concerned, or for that matter, physicality. To compare, that's as low as you can go, to compare a democratically elected president of the United States to Adolf Hitler and his policies and his rise to power.
Trump is literally the epitome of evil.
How is he evil? This is honestly, I don't know what to say. I don't know of anybody right offhand that I would consider evil in the Democrat Party. I think there are some less than savory characters, but I don't know if I'd say any of them are Hitler. Might be some who lean towards Stalin.
The evils of this country, be it racism,
at least his politics,
capitalism.
Whoa! What did she say? Wait, what?
Capitalism.
Hold on.
All the evils of this country, be it racism, capitalism.
Okay, now she just cross your legs, sweetheart. Your politics are showing. She's calling capitalism an evil. Clearly, she is at least socialist and probably leaning towards communist, just like the Antifa.
Sexism, homophobia. And he has set out some of the most dangerous policies, not just...
Like what? Go ahead.
That impacts this country, but impacts the globe. And so for us, the answer is not to sit with Trump, but to resist him and to resist every single policy that he's implemented that impacts our communities. And I think if I'm thinking about what I want my children to know in 30, 40, 50 years, I want them to know that I resisted a president at all costs, because this president literally tried to kill our communities.
Okay, there you go. Again, it's absurd on the face of it. Absurd on the face of it. And bordering on dangerous, to be quite honest. It's about inciting a mob. It's about yelling fire in a theater. Okay, let's move on. Hollywood had a really crappy summer. think a lot of this has to do with Netflix and on-demand stuff. Am I right? A lot of people just staying home watching TV. My wife's one of them. Down 16%. Revenue's down 16%. The worst decline since 2006. Here's another reason. Sucky movies. Okay. Transformers The Last Night. $130 million domestically. Terrible movie. Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Lies. $172 million. Again, what is that? The sixth in the series? Something like Baywatch. The Dark Tower. The House. Wonder Woman did well, $406 million. Guardians of the Galaxy, $389. Spider-Man, $319. Despicable Me, $256. Overseas, though, the bad movies in America doesn't go see. For some odd reason, it's like David Hasselhoff's music in Germany. Pirates, $618 million overseas. Transformers, $474. Oh, and Wonder Woman doubled its domestic take overseas. $806 million foreign sales. So... I guess Europe has crappy movies, so they like ours. They like ours. Oh, I want to mention something real quick. I am continuing this endeavor of doing a daily podcast that is 30 minutes long, is available on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and a bunch of other media. And I'm also doing video podcasts. And I'd appreciate your support. There's a website called Patreon, patreon.com. And you can sign up and give me $1 a month or $5 a month or $10 a month. I got a $25 a month patron today. And I was thrilled about it because right now I'm looking for a job in terrestrial radio, and terrestrial radio is not a good place to be right now. And so I'm waiting. And meanwhile, the bills are coming due. So I'd appreciate it. They do this for a lot for musicians and other people who are, I won't say I'm an artist. But patreon.com, Rob Carson Show. If you could help me out in this time, I would greatly appreciate it. I really, really would. The NYPD has had to scrap 36,000 smartphones because they're obsolete after 2 years. 36,000 smartphones distributed to officers over the last 2 years because the models have quickly become obsolete. The city provided the phones to their police officers, part of a $160 million initiative. Bill de Blasio said it was a huge step into the 21st century. Well, not very, very far. Well, it's a de Blasio policy. So these Nokia smartphones run a Microsoft-backed Windows phone system instead of the more popular and practical Android software by Google or Apple iOS. Because Microsoft recently announced its decision to stop supporting the operating system, the phones have become completely useless. By the way, one person essentially was in charge of this. Jessica Tisch, deputy commissioner, was entirely responsible for the errant decision. She drove the process, according to the New York Post. Nobody purchases 36,000 phones based on the judgment of one person. This is a quote. I don't care if you're Jesus Christ, you get a panel of experts. So, yeah, 36,000 phones. 36,000 phones, completely worthless. By the way, you know what the next phone is? $1,000. There's talk of breaching the $1,000 mark. Read a headline this morning. Are you ready for a $1,000 smartphone? Yeah, it looks like the new iPhone 8 expected to crack the $1,000 price barrier when it goes on sale next month. Isn't this amazing? Think about this. TV prices have come down. Phones are going through the ceiling. Upcoming Galaxy Note 8, $900 to $960. This is for a phone. They're adding new features, scanning and dual cameras, edge-to-edge displays, water resistance. Around the world, average prices, the premium segment, the highest in smartphones, about $460 compared to $482 during the same period a year earlier. So I've got an iPhone 6S Plus, which I mean is ancient technology, right? I've had it about a year and a half. and I like it. And I use it. I wouldn't pay $1,000. I'd be honest. Wow. But, you know, if you've been on the planet long enough, I mean, my daughter was 1 when the smartphone came out. So she's never known anything but a smartphone. My son was 5 when the smartphone was created. So he's always had a smartphone. It's pretty crazy when you think about the technology, because it's not really a phone. It's a computer with a phone app that, by the way, kids don't use. And I don't like talking on the phone either. I like to text. Yeah, you know. So the new movie It, Stephen King's It's, come to the big screen. There's no way I'm going to go see this. There's no frickin' way. I don't do scary movies anyway. This looks really, really scary. I also don't like it because children are the victims. That kind of bugs me. I know it's supposed to enhance the experience, maybe increase the fear because he's going after the most innocent. That's part of it. I don't know. Pam Moody, president of the World Clown Association, says people had school shows and library shows that have been canceled. The very public we're trying to deliver positive and important messages to aren't getting them. There's this, this clown phobia that's supposed to be going around, right? And this is more people. It's a popularity movement. I'm scared of clowns. Oh, you too? Yeah, I'm scared of clowns. Always been terrified. Really? Have you always been terrified of clowns? Moody also tells the story of a female clown who showed up at a kid's birthday party. So she waited in her car. Next thing, this female clown looks up. There are 4 police officers surrounding her. Someone in the neighborhood called in a clown sighting. Put down the balloon animal. Put down the balloon animal. Federal Appeals Court ruled Wednesday that Facebook friends do not classify as real friends in the eye of the law. Well, I'll have to tell my 6,000 friends on Facebook that they're not real. You guys are all my best friends, by the way. The decision is in response to a legal question over whether a Miami judge could recuse herself from a case because she was Facebook friends with one of the involved attorneys. Judge Thomas Logue composed a 10-page opinion behind the unanimous ruling. Electronic social media is evolving at an exponential rate, according to as Facebook friend may well once have been the impression of close friendship or affiliation. Currently, however, the degree of intimacy among Facebook friends varies greatly. The designation of a person as a friend on Facebook does not differentiate between a close friend and a distant acquaintance. Well done. Yes, of course. Are people who use curse words smarter or dumber? University of Rochester researchers asked 1,000 people about 400 everyday habits ranging from singing in the shower to swearing and found potty mouths tend to have higher IQs. Oh, smart people also more likely to eat spicy breakfasts. I just had one. And walk around homes naked. I have no comment. It also found extroverts are more likely to speed while driving, and that kind people are more likely to belt out tunes in the shower. Where do they come up with this stuff? Where do they come up? Oh, did you hear about this woman who has been sentenced to life in murder because what a parrot said about killing her husband? 46-year-old Martin Durham was shot 5 times in May 2015. Glenna Durham suffered a head wound in that prosecutor says was a suicide attempt but survived. Apparently, their pet parrot, Bud, repeatedly said, "Don't freaking shoot," in Martin Durham's voice. Keller took ownership of the bird after Martin Durham's appeal. Glenna Durham's attorney plans an appeal. So the bird ratted on her, I guess, is what it is. And finally, Gender X could soon be an option in California for state IDs. That refers to someone as non-binary. No telling if your signature can be that. But your sex apparently can. You can be male, female, or X. So X basically marks the spot, for lack of a better expression. Okay. I want to thank you for joining me. I hope that you'll check out my sponsors, Dr. Alex Nelson, fountainoflifecairo.com, fountainoflifecairo.com. Aches, pains, herniated discs. He does a terrific job. 816-741-4711. Fountain of Life Cairo. And, of course, Grass Monsters KC. If you're considering an American-made more, please check out Grass Monsters KC, 5520 Raytown Road, Raytown, Mo. Also, if you want to download this podcast and share, it's on iTunes at Rob Carson Show, on TuneIn also, and on iHeartRadio. Again, all under Rob Carson Show. It's about building a brand, kids. And if you want to write me in the meantime, just write me at carsoninthemorning@gmail.com. Have a great one. See you back here for episode 159 soon.
Thanks for listening to The Rob Carson Show. Friend him on Facebook at Carson Show, on Twitter at Rob Carson, and on Instagram, I think Facebook and Twitter are enough for now. We'll see you soon.